So again today I'm going to depart a little bit from the book of Philippians as we continue on because I had a thought this um, Sunday morning regarding patience in suffering, and something that speaks to my heart right now. I'm going to read a couple of verses, but the verse I'm starting with is Isaiah chapter 53 verse 4, and it says, "Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted." And something dawned on me during the worship service this Sunday. As many know, I've been dealing with bladder cancer for somewhat short of a year now. And this has included 3 surgeries, chemo treatments to the bladder, numerous cystoscopies, that's bladder scopes, biopsies, CT scans, an MRI, and a PET scan. Now, the diagnostic scans, the cystoscopies, the biopsies, and even the chemo treatments for the bladder have not been all that bad. And on the other hand, though, the surgeries have resulted in some uncomfortable irritation, and I'm not going to go into the details on that. And that takes some time to get over. But individually, while all these things have been tolerable, the combination of all of them has begun to wear on me, honestly. And so I began to internally and probably on one or more occasions verbally complain like this, I'm tired of it. And I wanted to come to the end of the process of all the appointments, tests, and procedures. I just wanted to get life back to normal again. And I think you can understand that. Well, Saturday in the men's group that I lead once a week and Sunday during the morning service, the Lord spoke to me in a special way. And let me first explain how the Lord spoke to me on Sunday. You see, regardless of how much suffering or pain that I have endured through the surgeries and other procedures, nothing even comes close to comparing what I've gone through to the agony that Christ suffered on the cross. Isaiah recorded that he bore all of our griefs and carried our sorrows. What Jesus endured for us pales in comparison to anything that we could ever endure or imagine in this life. I guess that experiencing this suffering perhaps gives me a more humble perspective of the agony that Christ endured on the cross. You see, my Savior, Jesus, loved us so much that he endured the infinite suffering of all of our physical pain, our emotional distress, and the suffering of the guilt and punishment for our sin. And my present sufferings has blessed me with a greater love for what my Savior has endured for me. So during my meeting with the men on Saturday, I realized something else. That we have been going through the book of James and discussing the applications in it. And we looked at James chapter 5, verses 7 through 11 this past Saturday, where James instructed on being patient in suffering. The following verses spoke to me in a very particular way. In James chapter 5, verses 10 and 11, it reads, "Take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy." And then we went back to James chapter 1 and we read the following verses again, which we'd read before. "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." So after discussing this with the men, I came to this conclusion that the Lord was using all the things I've been going through over the past year to strengthen me. Apparently, I still fall infinitely far from the perfect image of our beautiful Savior. So I take comfort in the fact that the Lord is still working in my life through the struggles of the present to bring me closer to that glorious image that he has for me. And then again, this Sunday, we heard of Paul's requesting for the thorn in his flesh to be removed, and he asked for it 3 times. And the Lord's answer to that request and Paul's response were profound. And let me read it to you. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. You see, the Lord allows us to go through times of suffering, but He has never left us or forgotten us in those times. He's always with us. Moreover, He is doing something in us beyond what we can fully comprehend at this moment. But friends, we have a glorious future. And for that we should be thankful.